This episode is sponsored by voinbox.com, the only full-service marketing tool for established professional voice actors.
Hey, welcome back. It's the VO Life, live and in person. I'm trying out this new Fifine SM7B knockoff today. My Sennheiser headphones I don't ever use because I don't sit out here. But I am joined by, I like to call him my southern brother in some ways. He's the Texas guy, though. Jeff Williams. Jeff, fresh off of the Europe retreat. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing good. Just still recovering. I'm back to my fighting weight. You know, when I was over there, I gained probably 7 or 8 pounds because of the food.
Mm-hmm.
And so here we're about, let's see, tomorrow will be two weeks. I think I've been home, and
yeah.
I'm just back to my regular weight. Thank God.
I have not checked in with Charles since, I talked to him after he got back, and he told me that he honestly put on 10 pounds, and he and I both are on Zepbound. So I don't know if I think he probably didn't even take it before he left. I don't know how you handle that part of it, but I finished my third week. I guess I took my third shot on Saturday, and I'm down 22 pounds.
Damn, congratulations.
It's crazy. Yeah, it feels great. I mean, I had lost weight and kept weight off for years. I had a gastric bypass 20 years ago. So, and then in 2016, something was going on with my insides, and I didn't know what it was. Well, it turned out after about 6 months, my innards were laced up with scar tissue. And it was squeezing, and stuff couldn't go through, and I couldn't eat. And I got all the way down to 160 pounds.
Ooh.
And I think I weighed that in second grade, but I'm not sure. But after that, and I healed back up and gained back to stayed around 200 where I always stayed. And then COVID hit, and man, I went all the way up to like 250, 260.
Oh, eating good.
Yeah, just because I was staying home, eating, not getting out, and it was really over a period of about 3 years. And then as I started trying to get it back off, I couldn't. I went to my gastric bypass ways. I went back to my gastric bypass doctor and give me the old manual of the post diet, and I would try, and just nothing was working. And then I get this shot, and it's like instantly, you don't think about food.
You know, I'm 6'4", 275. I think I was born 160 pounds.
41 inches and 160 pounds.
Yeah, I've been big my whole damn life. So, it's been a struggle for me. But yeah, it's always frustrating to go on a big 2-week journey and then come home and go, I got to get back to work. I hired a personal trainer because, I'm 52 and I'm like, ooh.
That's a good idea.
I'm also a chiropractor, and so I talk to people all day about, the reason that we stopped being able to get up out of the floor is because we stopped getting into the floor. The reason we start having to use the arms of a chair to stand up out of the chair is because we always use the arms of the chair. We stopped trying to do it without, and so I started taking my own advice and decided, I'm 52 and I want to get old, but I don't want to get old and frail and feeble. So
that's me.
Hired me a personal trainer and finally got back to my fighting weight. I'd like to be much lighter than I am, but at least I'm back to my pre-Holland.
Yeah, and with a lot of that, I know there's charts and graphs and all that. I go by when I feel good. When do I feel really good? And for me, I should probably weigh 165 or 170. I looked like death when I weighed that. I mean, my face was sunk in. I'd lay down at night. My ribs were up so high. I thought, I'm going to die. I was really,
you were sick. You weren't feeling good,
but I was not, but I'd never seen that before, that thin. So
I tell a lot of times people, they start losing a good amount of weight, and then everybody says, you look sick. And I say, well, maybe they've just never seen you look healthy before. They've seen you puffy your whole life, but have they ever seen you fit and healthy?
That's right.
Maybe that's just all perception.
Oh, well, Grandma always loved it when you were nice and full, and she could grab those, pull on them cheeks
Finish
and all
your
that
plate,
stuff.
top that up with the biscuit.
And she'd always say when we go see her, she'd say, "Them two boys look so healthy." I said, we were healthy, all right. We were healthy, but yeah, just getting up, moving around, and doing things. And I'm like a lot of people. I've worked in factories and plants on concrete, and my knees and hips are now paying that price, and plus playing sports up through 20 years old, 21 years old, and then and then going in these factories. And the more weight I take off, the better those knees and hips feel. That's for sure.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
Sure. I got to adjust my mic just a little bit.
Fix that thing, would you? Well, I guess I want to talk a little bit about you've been on before, and we've talked about your trajectory and how things started and all that, and how you juggle all this stuff. But let's talk a little bit first about the Euro retreat. We know the food's great. We know everybody gets 2 demos. That's part of it, part of the offset of the cost in many ways. But what's the difference in going to this versus either individual coaching or going to a conference or whatever? Sell this thing, because here I am on the cusp of thinking I really want to go, but does it really, is it the thing?
Yeah. Well, to me, it's absolutely the thing. Like, you just, I don't know. I think you'd have to go to really get the whole context, and to understand it completely. But when I first saw it online, J. Michael posted it. I got to looking at it, and it's always been out of the realm of possibility for me because I'm a full-time chiropractor, So for me, it's never been the cost of a trip. It's been the cost of being out of my clinic and all of the billing and stuff that we lose when I'm not in there. And then you add the cost of the trip on top of that. It's just never been something that made sense. But this thing, I just started reading through it, and I was like, geez, 2 demos, hell, that's $5,000 right there.
Right.
And for one person, I believe the cost was like, I don't know, y'all might have to double check me on this, but it was like $8,750, maybe $9,000. I don't remember specifics on that, but I took my wife, so it was a little extra for me. Because she was going to have food and drinks as well. So, I got to thinking about it. I mean, well, hell, that's $5,000 right off the top. Then you've got hotel, you got your room and board, you got your meals and drinks, and the whole thing plus that doesn't even include like the classes and the connections that you build with the people in the classes. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about top-notch agents and casting directors.
Right.
So in Holland, we had Ariel Negrin. I'm not exactly sure how that last name goes, but she's with Atlas. She was outstanding. Absolutely loved getting to meet and talk with her and build a little bit of a connection there. And then we had Sumit from Co-Management. Sumit is literally one of the nicest gentlemen you will ever meet in your life. And then Billy Kalura. Billy is a spark plug with CESD and just an outstanding guy. A real force of nature, for voice. I really love getting to know Billy. And man, I don't want to forget anybody. There was Michael, I'm not sure how you say his last name, Sinurik or something like that, with Bright Skull Video Games. Mm-hmm. Oh, there was Kelly Mashinsky with VoiceCaster there. So, being in the rooms and in the sessions and getting to make those connections with with that level of folks. I mean, how much would you pay on average for that anyways?
Right. Just by the hour, the stuff that you get while you're there is a big offset. Yeah. And like I said, the food and the lodging and the scenery and being able to go somewhere like that.
Tax deductible, by the way.
Yeah, and it's gorgeous.
Erica J and her husband, building a bit of a connection there, and then the people that you're there with, learning just like you are, and deepening those bonds and connections. Like Charles Coates, Charles the Voice. Charles and I have been friends. We've been friends. But when you're in a kind of a secluded atmosphere like that for 4 or 5 days with each other, riding the bus with each other, having dinner with each other, having old fashions with each other, and all of that good stuff.
Right.
That's a different connection. It just is.
Yeah.
Casey Hott and all the other folks, just love them to death. You're on your own little WhatsApp group, discussion chat group, and so it was just to me, it was a no-brainer. When I started going through the deal, I've never been to Europe. We wanted to go anyways. It was tax deductible. In fact, we added Scotland for 3 days on the front end of Valkenburg, Holland. And then so we flew from Scotland to Amsterdam, met up with the whole voiceover group, took a bus from there 2.5 hours down to Valkenburg. We were down there for about 5 days, and then my wife and I took a train to Paris for another 3 or 4 days, and one of those days was Normandy, France, and then we flew back home. So we were gone about 14 days.
Wow,
and,
nice.
Yeah, about 5 of those were the retreat. And you know that another thing is Jay Michael and myself. I've coached with Jay Michael. I've done a political demo with Jay Michael. I highly respect everything he says. Everything he shares online is always top notch, responsible, appropriate. And I just trusted him that this was going to be something to remember, and something that was going to be an investment in my career.
Right.
And it was 100% 5-star as advertised. And he and Anna and his staff, Kayla and Jessica, just, man, they knocked it out of the park. 100%.
Nice. And the word investment is what I want people to take from this. A lot of people new to VO, and you're barely making any money, and you're like, I can't spend money. You're not spending, you're investing. And you got to invest in the right things. It's kind of individual choices, but yeah, it's what it is. And sometimes, like for me, if anybody's been watching along on some of the stuff I've been doing the last several weeks, I'm crazily investing in this room right now, because here's the deal. I got to come in here every day. I'm in here some days just a few hours, but a lot of times I'm in here 8, 10, 12 hours if I'm that busy. I want to be comfortable. This is my office. I want it to look good. I want it aesthetically pleasing. I want it well lit. I want it convenient. I don't want to have to move stuff from the booth out to here and here to the booth and back and forth, stuff like that. And even that is an investment that it lifts your spirit. So when you're auditioning, you're not thinking, God, this is the dirtiest, nastiest room. Why am I in here? And every little thing affects things. Yeah, it really does. Your attitude, if you're, you go get all this training, you come home, you go, and people do this. I just wasn't as good as they were. Boy, those people were knocking it out of the park. I hope I can do that someday. And then you do an audition, and what's your audition going to be? It's going to be, and so, yeah, it is a big investment, and it's a great investment. And I think what I've seen over the last few years, the people that go, I see things change for them. As a person who watches the industry, and, who enjoys seeing people do well and better themselves and do all that stuff. I really love seeing that. When it seems like after they go over there, it gives them some kind of shot in the arm or whatever. And they see their career trajectory change quite a bit over the next year, because they're applying a lot of new things. Yeah.
And I will also say that when I was headed that way, I was like, man, this. I go to all the VO Atlantas. I go to all the One Voices in Dallas. I'm like, I'm not going to learn anything new. Like, how many ways can you learn to do an audition? But man, I did. Just getting in the room with those folks, I learned more. And you're right. I came home jazzed and ready to rock and roll. It was a great experience. And I would add, there's a reason that a lot of the folks that I was there with, they were on their second, third retreat, fourth, fifth. I think Beth Standing is on her 5th or 6th retreat, And Yeah, I was going to make connections. So I'll tell you that when I originally signed up, I didn't have like national representation or anything like that. And so I was wanting to learn, but make those connections, get in the room with big folks doing big things. And then between the time I signed up and when I went, then I signed with ACM and I signed with DPN. And so I had a choice. Well, do I want to go ahead and just back out of this deal because I've already got really what I was going for, to be in the room with the big dogs. And I thought, you know what, man, just go. Don't talk yourself out of it. Make that investment. Like you said, make that investment, spend that money. And I think you got to be in the room. If you got to be in the room with these people. Yeah. And when sometimes it's a little bit of fake it till you make it too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If you're in the room, then you're kind of on the team. And so that was part of the whole plan.
Yeah. Good stuff. What was Kevin Kilpatrick there?
He was. Yeah.
Okay, that's right. I thought he was. I thought I heard him mention it on his podcast the other day.
And I've known Kevin for a little bit, but we're good buddies now. It's just part of the process.
Kevin's great. He does some, or used to, I guess maybe still does. He has gatherings at his house, and he's only like an hour from me. So, and then Bobby is about an hour in a different direction. She's moved here from Cincinnati, which is kind of neat. And I really think a lot of them, they were two of the people outside of JJ and Linda that when I started, I honed in on their first podcast, the Middle Class VO podcast. And then Linda and JJ's gurus, voiceover gurus, they were a big part of how I got started. And Kevin was just a great, kind of a mentor for a while. He introduced me to, what's Dave's last name? But Dave was the voice of Nissan for several years. He also lived here in Nashville, and they'd invite me to breakfast, and I'd get to go eat breakfast with them. And I felt, you feel so out of place, because I was really the first year full time.
But you're in the room.
But you're in the room. And Dave Hoffman, I just it wouldn't hit me. But Dave was also the TV trailer guy for Better Call Saul. He did all those. Yeah, he's just got this growly, gravelly voice. And he moved to California. He's from here, and he went to California, lost his accent, and now he's back here. He's been back here a while, and he said, "There's times I wish I could get it back. I wish I could sound like home again." And but man,
so he lost it completely for good, huh?
Yeah, he really, he said, I can kind of somewhat fake it if I need to, but he said, it's just not the same, it's just not natural anymore. I've just, California, you enunciate more and it just takes a lot of it away. But, he was the national Nissan guy for like 3 years. And he said, if you ever want to get out of automotive, just do a national campaign and you're done, because nobody will hire you. For automotive, because he said, no, that's the Nissan voice. And he said that just knocks you out. But from what I understand, the millions of dollars you make over that period of 3 years, it's you probably don't have to worry about ever booking another, come out and get yours for only $29.95. You probably don't have to worry about those anymore.
I believe that I have heard, now do not quote me or write this down anywhere, but that the National Ford guy is probably $1.3 million a year, somewhere like that.
Yeah, I have heard the same thing. It's a little over $1 million. Yeah.
Oh, that's sexy.
Yeah, I think I would give up exclusivity and all that for a paycheck like that for a few years.
Especially at 52 years old. Come on now.
Yeah. Well, especially at 62. I just keep waiting for one of these companies. I'm doing some UCG and spokesperson videos. Just started doing it, playing with it, and it kind of took off, and it pays okay. It's one of those things for me. It's a spoke in the wheel until something bigger comes along. But sure. I've got a box back here behind me. I've got to do one. I probably have to work on it Thursday. It's hearing aids, and you have to put them in, and you have to unbox them and do all, and you go through some talks and stuff, scripted stuff, and then you shoot B-roll footage, and they'll pay you, $1,200-$1,400. It ain't bad.
Nice.
But but it takes a little while, and you have to edit the stuff up. And, I've had to buy, the Hollyland wireless mic magnetic mic where you can get it under your shirt and they can't see it. And to get really good sound, when you're in your living room and it knocks out the echoes. So I've invested in it to make it work. But I just keep thinking it'd be neat, to get the TV commercials, the real TV commercials, not just the UGC they're running on TikTok and Facebook. I haven't had many people, though, let me know, hey, I saw you doing a hydrogen water bottle, and I saw you doing the things you put in your mouth to keep you from having sleep apnea. I've done a ton of products, but nobody's saying they saw me except one person. I did a thing that goes in the back of your truck. It holds your fishing rods, and they're on swivels. So your rods don't fly out. They don't get tangled. Nothing gets messed up. It's really neat. And I've had a couple people say they saw that, but I'm not a celebrity yet. So
that's pretty cool. Anyway. No, the UCG thing is something I've always been a little bit intrigued by, but just don't know anything about it. And, you and I have talked. I have a virtual assistant for marketing. I don't think they're very effective right now. And so for me, us full-time job guys, it's pretty frustrating because I just don't have the opportunity to do that direct marketing. And so when I see you doing something like UCG, I'm like, man, that looks pretty cool. That looks fun. But man, having the available time to track that down and figure it out, this is not something I can do.
Yeah, I couldn't do anything like that. Yeah, I appreciate it, but I couldn't do anything when I was full time. I mean, I was working in an automotive plant. We made engine parts for everybody, timing chains and levers, and I was traveling, going to different places. I had a kind of a travel rig. It wasn't great, but I was just getting started, and even at that, I didn't have any time to do anything. I mean, back then, few Fiverr jobs and Upwork jobs and stuff like that. And then when I started getting really busy the year before I quit, I was telling my wife, I said, I got to slow this down because I was coming home and working from 4 to 10, 4 to 11, every night, and sometimes on weekends having to work. And it just got, and I think that's what helps make the decision. When it gets to be too much, you got to make a decision. But I miss that steady paycheck though. Well, that was nice. That was nice while it lasted. That. But I sure don't miss the stress and I don't mean to say people, because there were a lot of people I like, but the people problems, and they really got worse after COVID.
They did, man.
The turnover and everything.
I've got 12 employees, and hiring folks is way different than it was pre-COVID. That's for damn. And I always tell people, hey, nothing against baristas. I absolutely love baristas. But if I were a barista on that income level, I'd have been full-time year one. Year one, this thing just kind of blew up for me. But it's harder to replace healthcare providers' salary. So especially, I own the clinic. So it's kind of a source of frustration for me because, being a chiropractor has been a source of pride and a source of real energy, for 28 years. But now that's shifted, now I'm all voiceover. And so now it's not like this, but it's almost like I've got like this anchor and I'm trying to figure out how to marry these two worlds.
Yeah.
And then move in more towards voiceover.
So you're a voice actor with a side gig of a chiropractic.
I guess. I tell people I'm really so COVID came along and nobody wanted to come into the clinic. So, I went to college with Andy Field. He was my very first drummer in my very first band, 30 years ago down in Louisiana. And so I started asking Andy, and he kind of got me into this voiceover thing. And so I went from having one full-time job to really having two full-time. Because I've got a full-time job on top of my full-time job.
Yeah, exactly. And you got into it, about the time I did, I guess. And we were like the flood of people that came in. And then
but we're just too stubborn. We stick around.
We hang around, but boy, I have sure watched a lot of people drop out. I mean, there's still people coming in wanting to learn and understand about it. And back to Kevin and Bobby, their podcast this past week was really trying to tell people how hard this is. And Kevin made a really good remark. He said, hey, if you want to jump into this, never get any coaching and give it a try, come on in. Be glad to have you. Be glad to have you for the competition, But it just in all to say that there's so much that you have to learn and do. It's not what you see on the internet all the time of, go buy a mic and get in a closet and make money. It's tough.
Man, it sure was good getting to know Kevin a little bit. That dude is genuine, like authentic, genuine.
He is.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. And I love his story because if I could have written my own story, it would have been like his, to be in radio and do it all he did in radio. And then he made the conversion over. But I loved hearing him talk about how long it took him, even though he was full-time and making money, he was doing all these car spots, that how long it took him to find a more casual stop being the announcer, and he said it took a long time. And he said, man, it was just like the realization and hearing him talk about going to VO Atlanta the first time and all that. And, but yeah, he's just a great guy. He really is. And I'm not, I was dogging Charles a little earlier before we got on. I hadn't heard from him hardly at all. And since you guys got back, and I said, I'm pretty much got to assume he's busy because that guy, he has taken off like crazy the last couple of years. And even Jake, he kind of changed his situation by taking a work at home job, and he got the pressure off himself, and then boom, he starts booking and I'm so proud of both those guys. I hate that we don't do our 3 and 4 man podcast anymore, but understandable. It just happens,
Hey, that's a good reason to not do it anymore. At least you're not like, that son of a mother, I can't stand it.
Yeah.
At least you are buddies and just don't have time to get it done. So that's a good reason.
Yeah, and they jump on once every few months or so, and we get some updates from them. But I miss that camaraderie, miss talking to them. But it kind of pushed me to where I had to get back after it with this podcast, because I had kind of focused on the other one, and this one was like, oh crap, I hadn't put out an episode in 3 weeks, and now I'm back to consistent weekly, and I've got some great guests. You're here. Chris McCloy was just here. Casey was on as a guest and is now doing some co-hosting here and there. J. Rodney Turner was on as a guest. He's jumping in now and then to co-host. I got Tim Powers coming up. Jessica Matheson's coming on. And there's what's the other girl that was over? She was there at the retreat just recently with you guys.
Tell me and we'll both know.
I cannot think of her name off the top of my head. I just saw her on my calendar. Maybe I should look at my calendar and I could tell what her name is. That's another good question.
We have Rebecca and Trisha and
Rebecca sounds more familiar.
Casey Hot.
Casey's just got the coolest name. Amanda LG. Yeah. Amanda LG. She's going to be on. It's up in July.
Sweet.
Yeah. She'll be on the day before I go have my colonoscopy. Yeehaw.
Oh, good. Y'all can talk all about it.
Yeah. That's what we'll talk about. Whatever. One of those weeks.
Yeah.
It's that way all the time.
Of aging.
Yeah. I went yesterday morning. My doctor had asked me at my physical a while back. I was talking about, I get some weird dizzy things sometime, or off balance things. They checked everything, checked inner ear, did some balance tests. He said, I think you had crystallization. So he sent me over to the physical therapy thing, and they did some tests with my head and watched my eyes and had me doing all this different stuff. So he said he reset me. So today I noticed when I was in the shower, and I used to, if my eyes were closed and I turn around in the shower, I was scared I was going to fall through the glass door. I just like, whoa, this morning, didn't even notice.
Man, I need to reset.
So, I'm not sure exactly what he did, but I had my head hanging off the table, and he'd turn it one way and turn it the other way. Okay, so you know all about it. I figured you did, and I thought you could relate to that, but it seems to have made a difference. It really did.
Anybody else that has this problem. So if you lay down, you get dizzy. If you stand up, you get dizzy. If you change the position of your head, the room spins a little bit. That's called benign paroxysmal positional vertigo. And the maneuver they use on that is called the Epley maneuver. And you can find that online.
Yep. And that's what he told me after he did it. He said, you can just go on Google and look it up next time, if it gets that way again. So, yeah.
I wasn't lying.
Yeah. Oh, you have given me some things that have helped me a lot. I mean, I had, that sciatica stuff and fighting with some of that. And fortunately, a lot of that's better. The stretches and the stuff I was doing, what was it called?
Floss.
Floss. I was wanting to call it. I was wanting to call it threading. I said it ain't threading. That's not right. But the nerve floss, and that does help, and I still do it.
I got to tell you that I think I will probably start speaking at some of these voiceover conferences, but it's not going to be about chiropractic. Nobody wants to hear about that.
I don't know. That's a heck of a tie-in right there to sitting in these chairs a lot and the stuff you need to do. Yeah, for sure. It makes a difference. Yesterday when I had my injection, they told me that the gaps had opened up a lot on my vertebrae, that it looked a lot better.
There you go.
And I'm not in near as much pain or anything. And I think a lot of it is the nerve flossing and the stretching and the stuff you had me doing. And I've stuck to it, and it helps.
There you go. Listen to that world. You don't always have to go get surgery.
Right. You don't. And I mean, they really wanted to get mine done last year. And I kept saying, I don't know, let me think about it, and putting it off. And then now, I've had the epidural steroid a couple times, but with a combination of that and the stretching and all that, and getting up and walking and moving and doing everything I'm doing, I hadn't had an episode since right before One Voice last year.
Hey, I love surgeons. There's 2 local surgeons that are good friends of mine. And I'm not one of those chiropractors that's against surgery and all that good stuff. But it should be the last option.
I agree.
Always last option. And then, lots of times you go to a surgeon, I tell them, if you got a big hammer, everything starts to look like a freaking nail. And so everybody starts to need surgery all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And they got that second or third house they got to pay off and all that stuff. So always just get a second opinion, no matter how much you respect them.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I have more respect for my surgeon now, the neurosurgeon I was going to, because the last visit he said, you're not really in much pain right now. You seem to have good pain management. You haven't had any of those bad episodes. He said, when all that stops working, make another appointment, but I don't need to see you until then.
Hey, I like it.
And that's good.
Sounds like you got a good one.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Dr. Logan. I think he's Jamaican, if I'm not mistaken. Nice.
Logan from Jamaica. You think it'd be a more exotic name?
Well, his first name is Chine, Chine.
Logan is not a very beach-worthy name.
No. Dr. Logan? I don't know. Maybe. No. I don't know.
He needs a better name.
So we talked about marketing, and I know we're getting on here and we're just kind of shooting the bull, but we talked about marketing. You were talking about what a struggle it was for that. Now you're still, are you still doing online casting at all? Or
yeah, that's a good question, and I will answer it. I had basically just given up on all of it. I had canceled my voices.com. Probably 2 years ago. And I went from the $2,200 tier on Voice 123 or whatever, $2,250. I don't know. But I got rid of that and went down to like 300 or something. I was like, hell with all this crap. I'm done with it. But after Holland, I forgot to mention, I hope she forgives me, that Karen Gilfrey was out there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And she did. And she's just a ray of sunshine, everybody knows Karen, but she had a class that I attended. Now, these classes out at these expos are kind of like when you go to a conference. There's 2 or 3 rooms with different talks going on. You choose where you want to go. It's not like all 25 of you are sitting in the same room learning from one person.
Yeah.
And each presenter will give 2 or 3 talks during the week. So if you miss one with Karen, then Karen will be doing another one in the next day or 2.
Gotcha.
So I went to her online casting deal, and damn it, she talked me into joining them again. So I signed back up, spent the money when I got home, signed back up, and here was another frustration with the online platforms is that especially for us full-timers, we got another full-time job. When I would come home when I'd get up in the morning, the jobs are already full. When I come home at lunch, the jobs are already full on these online platforms. And when I get home from work at night, the jobs are already full. I'm like, well, how the hell am I supposed to audition something that there's no openings for, So that was another source of frustration. And so what I did when I signed up with ACM and DPN was some of the stuff that we get or that I get from them are as soon as possible. We need this right now. The movie trailers, the Fox Sports promos, stuff like that. Those are as soon as possible. And so if I'm at my office half the day, I can't always do that. So what I did is I started outfitting my office with sound absorbing panels, which you helped me with. Thank you. I started, I got me a mic and a whole setup at the office. Now, it's not sound quality that I would do a full project on, but it's good enough to do an audition on. And so now when I get something quick that's coming in through my agents or management, I can knock that out real fast. But also that works for the online platforms too. If I get an email and go, boom, you got, there's a new job from voices.com. I can hop in there after the 2 or 3 patients. I'll have 15 minutes. I can hop in there and knock it out real quick. And so I haven't, now this has only been 2 weeks since I've been back, so I haven't won anything yet, but, got shortlisted and some stuff like that. So I think, with Karin's urging, I should put it, that, I got back on them. Still too early to tell you what kind of results I'm getting, but I'm back on them.
Right. Well, it's a bit of a climb on there because you not only want to be in a certain level, you got to be in that. If you're in the top 10%, you're going to see stuff quicker. Top 20, a little, it's okay too. And being picky what you audition for, it just kind of comes down to all that. Voices.com, I don't guess there is an algorithm. They match to the percentage thing, and I think that's it. What I do notice on there, and this ticks me to no beyond some days, but I do okay there. I'll book 2 to 5 jobs a month on voices.com.
You have to show me your tricks.
Well, it's just the fact of being, the right, like you say, the right voice for the right audition. And I really have filters in there to try to catch things where I'll get the right stuff. Now, the thing that frustrates me at times is I'll get the email notice at say 8:06. Here's this job. It's up there. It's $1,250. At 8:08, I'm in there and it's already got 28 submissions. That's quick. Yeah. But here's what I wonder sometimes.
On Voice 123 or Voices?
No, Voices.com. But here's what I think happens. I think people go in there and they submit something and it gets them in line. And then they go back and change and actually do the audition. I think they submit a demo or a spot or whatever, and then they go back later and do that way they're in the first 10 or first 11 or 12 or whatever.
That's a lot of damn effort.
I know. But I think they're doing that. And I've never done it, but I've heard that people do that. But I don't do that. No. But Voice 123, I renewed at the 666 for a quarter or something like that, same thing. And I did a quarter. I booked 2 jobs in that quarter. That's not much. I thought, well, I'm going to go one more because I had gotten my thing to top 10%, and maybe they'll come a little faster. 2 days after I renewed, I dropped to top 20%. So I made the decision. I made the decision the next day to flip it back to the $495, which is the cheaper one now. It would just take my 600 something, credit it to that, pay it for a year, and I'm just going to work on getting that percentage back up again. And it's a grind. That's
so damn frustrating.
It is.
Especially for us older folks, is business and life just seems to be revolving around some stupid ass. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cuss, but
no, it's fine.
Just stupid algorithm, And it used to be like you just did a good job and customer service, be a professional, be on time, dependable, deliver, and be enjoyable to work with, and work with. Make the customer's life simple. And then everything just kind of worked out. Now it's all about algorithms and you know, matching keywords and all that BS, you know, and especially for us older guys that's just kind of a newer thing in the last 5 to 10 years. It's exhausting to me.
It is.
And I'm not good at playing the game, you know. It just drives me on voice 1, 2, 3 to depend on somebody giving you a thumbs up. You know, whether they give you a thumbs up or whether they don't, that doesn't determine whether they liked your audition or not. It's whether they had the initiative to actually go and give the thumbs up. Or matched with somebody and did an audition for somebody that understands a thumbs up actually matters. Most of them, they don't even know. And so why make so much, I don't know, so much, I don't know, reputation or so much of the algorithm rotate around a thumbs up? To me, it's just one of the dumbest damn things I've ever heard of. And Rolf with Voice 1, 2, 3, to his credit, was in Holland at that deal, and he sat and answered questions. I asked him, why do we have this text-to-speech crap on Voice 1, 2, 3? And he went on a 15-minute explanation that still didn't make any sense. You know, trying to explain why that was okay. It's not okay to have those jobs on any platform for any reason.
Right.
But at the end of the day, they are a big source of business, and this is the business we have chosen. So, so I will play the game and do my best at it.
Yep, that's all we can do. I've been booked on both platforms without shortlist many times. They didn't give a short list or a like or whatever, and booked and got the job. And you know, there again, I've had them given and taken away. That is really frustrating. You'll have it be on your short thing for a few days, and all of a sudden it's gone. And I guess what they did was they said they had a top 20, and then they narrowed to a top 10, and that's how they did it. They killed the thumbs up things. But anyway, yeah, I'm with you. I think, you know, based on your history of business and your reviews and all of that, but on there, because people can book you and pay you offline. And today was a good example. They actually emailed me and they said, hey, the client so-and-so, we just want to make sure you got paid. It looks like they booked you, but I didn't get credit for the booking because they didn't pay me on there or however it worked. And they said, we want to convert it where it'll show up, you know, in your algorithm. And it was cool. They reached out and told me that. That was 1, 2, 3. And I said, I may have others that I booked that never were converted that way. And she said, just go through and get a list of them, and I'll take a look. And if they need to be converted, we'll convert them, because bookings count as well as the thumbs up, the short list. So, yeah.
I'm in the top 20%, but I never book on it. And it was what I was sharing with you earlier. By the time I got to an audition, before I had my setup at the office, by the time I got to an audition, they were already full. Yeah.
Well, where I ruined my profile there the first time was I had a quote unquote coach tell me to audition for everything. And I did. And, you know, so you do 50, 60, 80 auditions and get 0 thumbs up. You go down to the bottom 10% really quick.
You sure do. Yeah.
So then I had to work a year to dig out of the hole that guy put me in. You know, yeah, if I ever see him again, I'm going to headlock him.
But stomp him on his big toe.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that was just not nice. Not nice.
I think that. So tell me, you're going to be in Dallas?
Yeah, I'm coming to Dallas. I'm going to do a talk called "You Are Enough," and that's for people, mainly newer people, new talent who are maybe struggling with the "I don't sound like so and so" syndrome. You know, because they hear, you know, and like me, you know, Ryder's out there killing it. And I'm like, nobody sounds like Ryder either. Ryder sounds like Ryder, but, you know, that could be the thing. You go, man, I don't sound like him. I'll never make it. You know, there's no way I can do voiceover. And this is just to tell you that I had those drawbacks when I started. I really thought if I don't lose my accent, I'll never make any money. But once I stopped thinking that way and focused on the fact that it's just me. It just needs to be me. I'm enough. I'm good enough at this. My reads are good. but my accent and voice may not be what they want, and that's okay. If they don't like me as me, that's okay. I can accept that. And I kind of go through some of the struggles and ways I figured out how to do that. And so that's what part of it is. And then the rest of it will just be, a lot of question and answer for newer people. But I look forward to it. I'm bringing all kind of swag. I've got little VO Life pins that you can pin on your shirt or jacket. I've got some little zipper pulls that are bigger VO Life thing with a clip. I think I've got
You're coming prepared.
stickers, tote bags. Yeah, I'm going to ship it all to Charles's house.
Charles is doing a talk as well.
Yep.
He is doing one about his origins and his beginnings. And he was talking about it over in Holland.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds pretty darn fascinating. He talked about when he started, he had zero money. Yep. And he, I can't remember what he said he used as a pop filter, but it was some little rag or something.
Argyle sock.
Yeah,
I think it was an Argyle sock. Right. But he his mic stand was his coffee mug. Yeah, his coffee mug with a regular, like a Shure SM57 or something like that. I mean, and he had blankets over his head. I remember when he started. He and I were in, the same Facebook groups and ran into each other. And that's when he and I started talking and going back and forth way back then. And I can remember some of the conversations we had about stuff people that were ordering from us and how little we were getting paid. And and he was like, he was tickled to death one day. He got something that was $50, and he said, man, that beats the heck out of them $5 orders, But he said, I'm never going to make a living doing this. My voice will be gone, and
look where he's at now.
Yeah. He's just tearing it up. I'm very proud of him. Charles is a hard worker. I have spent a lot of time with him and talking about a lot of things in our past and our personal lives. And this guy has done things. I mean, he was like close to becoming a doctor and stuff. I mean, working in an ER and it was on a medical path. And then when he told me what all happened, I'm like, what? And then he ends up in the the hospitality, the booking stuff. And then he ends up with the airlines, being the executive trainer. And I mean, this guy could, he can sell ice to an Eskimo. He's just got it. He's just got personality.
Is I would be, I don't know what the word is. I'd probably be mad at him if he was a turd of an individual.
Right.
But he's so nice and such again, like Kevin Kilpatrick, just a genuine, authentic person. Nice. Yeah. Man, I told him in Holland, I was like, you don't have to be nice all the time. Like, you could just be a little bit of a turd. But
he can't do it.
He's incredible, man.
He can't do it.
So, his success is really nice.
Yeah, he don't want anybody left out. He don't want anybody to feel left out. He don't want to be missing out on anything. He tries to involve everybody and all. He's just big-hearted and a good guy. And his wife's as sweet as can be. He was FaceTiming with her when we were in Atlanta, and she was having some trouble because somebody came over and they brought wine, and Charles said, she don't ever drink. He said, I don't. And boy, she had a few glasses of wine and she was lit up and cutting up, and they were out in the driveway carrying on. And he was like, oh my gosh, I can't get there and help her and and whatever. And we were in Atlanta instead of Dallas at the time, but it was hilarious.
We call that buzzing like a bee's butthole.
Yeah, and I'm still ashamed of getting up and slapping him in the middle of the night.
I was going to say, if Charles is such a nice guy, why did you slap a hell?
Yeah, I don't know. At least he said I was defending my wife, and I was having a nightmare and was defending her. But I guess that made it better for him.
Out in Holland, I don't know if your ears were burning, but
no, they weren't burning. They weren't burning. They weren't burning. All right, Jeff Williams, tell everybody where they can find your website and information. And I don't know that you even have time for it, but there's people getting in and out of the business and stuff, and they send questions now and then. And if you're open to anything like that, let them know. And how do they find you? And if you live in your area of the country, come see him at his other business.
Yeah. I'm in Amarillo, Texas. If anybody's nearby there, not that many people, about 300,000. But outside of that, that's So if you're in the Amarillo area, I'm happy to go have a cup of coffee with you and or an old fashioned. and we'll talk
Yeah.
about voiceover and all that. You know what I did? So my website is jeffwilliamsvoice.com. And so what I did, I get asked about voiceover so much. I get private messages on Facebook and Instagram and text from my friends that are asking for their friends, and stuff like that. So what I finally did was I just wrote a blog. And it's got some just off the top, I've got some affiliate links in there, but I wrote a blog that it's called So You Want to Be a Voice Actor. And I've shared it a few times on my Facebook, which is Jeff Williams Voice Actor Facebook page. But it gives you every single step that I ever took, where I started, what equipment I started with, and now what I've upgraded to, coaches I started with, and coaches I currently coach with, like Mark Ryder. The whole agent discussion and demo discussion, getting your space tuned in. I cover the whole dang thing. And so it's called So You Want to Be a Voice Actor. Go to jeffwilliamsvoice.com, click on blog, go to that one. And if you're just breaking into this, you want some extra tips, extra steps, then that's a good blog for you. But jeffwilliamsvoice.com. Any of my social media is usually either Jeff Williams Voice Actor or at Jeff Williams VO. I'm on just about all of them. Some I'm more active than others. I'm still not that active on TikTok yet, even though I try. I'm 52, damn it. Cut me some slack.
Yeah, I gave it my all for about 2 months. Here recently, I did a bunch of back and forth with me, videoed them where I'm talking to myself. One's Gary and one's Bubba and doing all this stuff. And the crazy thing, when I got done with all of it, I still 300 views, 400 views. Then I moved them over to YouTube, and they were getting 4,000 views, which I don't understand why. And then I did this one video where I copied the audio, and the guy was talking about, I can't remember, something about a banana in your rear end. And he said, then I found out you're supposed to eat the banana.
No.
So that I looked the other day, and that thing had like 38,000 views in a couple of weeks. And I'm like,
nice.
And I had no part in that other than lipping, mimicking the sound bite and just looking like really serious and whatever.
Right.
But I put all this creativity effort in this other stuff, and no damn body watches. So I said,
you want to know something that'll make you even more frustrated is my daughter is 17. And so, TikTok, Snapchat, and all that's a big deal for them.
Yeah.
And she'll show me some kids from her high school. And the big thing is to play somebody else's song and them just lip sync and try to look sexy.
Yeah.
And so it's not them singing. It's not them doing a damn thing except lip syncing to who the hell knows, Meghan Trainor or somebody else, Maroon 5. And they're just lip syncing and holding the camera out, and those things will get, I know one kid from her high school's got over 1 million followers, and that's all he does. That's his whole thing.
Isn't that something?
And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
I tried that with,
where's your skill, your creativity, your talent, your imagination? Where's all that crap? And you're just gonna get on there and just lip sync another damn person's.
And the people and the people liking and following, where is their creativity?
I know.
I even bought a big long-haired gray wig and some big sunglasses, and I was doing Baby Billy off the Gemstones. So I was lipping his stuff, and it would get some views. It would get a few views. But I just told my wife of the week or the other month when I started doing it, I said, I'm gonna try it for a while and see how it goes. Well, she's like, are you gonna do any more of those? Those are fun. I said, yeah, but nobody's watching them. I don't waste time on it.
You know what?
Do something else.
I know we're winding this down, but I want to tell you my thoughts on AI all of a sudden, because we just got to talk about creativity.
Oh yeah, sure.
And this is something I decided while I was out in Holland.
Okay.
So my daughter I'm a painter. My daughter is just an incredible painter. This whole voiceover thing is, being taken over by AI supposedly, and all this stuff. And here's what I think is going to happen. You ready? This is the hot take. You ready? There's going to be a pushback. Yeah, there's going to be a pushback against AI. I don't know if it's going to come this year or if it's going to be in 10 years or, I don't know. But there's going to be a pushback because real human beings want things that real human beings have done. So let's go with painting, by the way. Since I mentioned my daughter and myself painting, I had somebody ask, well, do you think AI is going to screw up painters? And I just don't think so, because it's like voiceover we've talked about. Well, the low-hanging fruit gets taken by AI, but the quality purchasers, they're going to want those blobs of paint on canvas. They're going to want to know that an actual artist sat there and mixed those colors and put them all together in a way that made this amazing picture. And I feel like voiceover is going to be that way too. I don't think I'm like JMC. I don't think it's going to be a nothing burger, but I think at some point there's going to be pushback, because you can't be a John Deere or a Carhartt or something like that, and you're talking about raw authenticity and, the genuine thing,
right?
And then have AI voicing in your commercials.
Right.
Because as soon as people know it, they'll be like, nah, we don't want any part of that. Yeah. And so I think eventually there'll be a big pushback where they're like, hey, AI has its place, but it's not there.
Yeah. I agree.
That's the hot take for you.
I agree. And I'm with you. I think it has its place. I use Chat GPT as a search engine sometimes. I might let it look at an email I've written and see if I, could make it a little better. But human creativity and human everything, you're right. And I think people on the other side of it too, like if I work at a company and they come out with AI training and it's teaching us, or we're sitting through thing and it's an AI voice reading it, and they're better than they used to be, but you can still hear it. My feeling is the company too cheap to hire a real person? Because I really want to hear from a real person. I don't want them to take the cheap route or the whatever route. I want them to invest, and I think that's part of it too. Yeah, that's a good take. That really is.
There'll be a pushback eventually.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. The rise against the machines.
That's right.
Wall-E.
100%.
We talked about that this morning with Chris and Casey about that movie, and I said that does, when you think about that is scary, because I remember at the end of it, and it's been years since I saw that, but it showed people sitting around in these big recliners, and they were just humongously, grossly obese, and they didn't do anything for themselves and anything. I said, yeah, that's probably what some people would like to happen. They wouldn't care, but not me. I mean, I like to create my thumbnails, and I like to write copy for stuff, when I'm doing samples and stuff. Yeah, it's fun to do. I have to do that. I want to keep my brain active. And I thought, if people let it take over too much, we're all going to be so freaking stupid and can't do anything for ourselves. And that's terrible. We don't need to lose that. That
would be a big pile of skin.
Wow. Did you hear that thunder?
I did.
And it shook the house.
I said big pile of skin, and it went kaboom.
Yeah. Lord's listening to us. Hey, man, it's heard everything you've brought on us today.
Hallelujah.
Pass the plate. Well, I better get out of here before I get electrocuted. I got a client waiting on a video they wanted at 6:00, and I'm done with it. I just got to change the gosh, I hate when I can't think of a word, but when you're talking and it puts your words on the screen.
Yeah.
They want me to change the color of the text. So I got to get that and send it to them. But new client out there in Beaumont, Texas.
Got to make them happy.
Got to make them happy, man.
That's right.
Got to make them happy. Hey, thanks for hanging out, man. I enjoyed it. If nothing else, we just had fun talking. It's been a while.
Very good chat. I don't know if anybody learned anything, but
they will. I think people love authenticity, and they just had a good hour plus of authenticity. If they don't,
catching up to do, Troy.
We did, and we ain't done. You'll be back before long. I'll have to get you to do what Casey and Rodney are doing. Just drop in and co-host when I've got somebody on, and you can ask them questions and help me out. Man,
I'd love to. I love picking on people.
Good. Yeah. Good. We'll get something together. All right. Where's the stop button? Does anybody know? Here it is. Hang on.
And that's another episode of The VO Life. Thanks for dropping in and hanging on. The VO Life was brought to you by voinbox.com.
The marketing tool that gives you back something others don't. Make an investment in your marketing that not only cultivates clients but gives you back time.
If you are a professional voice actor and you need to up your direct email marketing game, VO Inbox might be for you.
Reach out to Troy in an email to get 25 leads free with your paid subscription. Send that email to troy@troyholdenvoices.com.
Need to talk about building your VO business? You can schedule time with Troy on his website in half-hour or full-hour sessions. There's even a free 15-minute consult available, all on the website at troyholdenvoices.com.
Thanks for being here, and join us again next week on the VO Life.